More questions than answers after a 3-year-old boy's body was found inside an underground septic tank at an Arlington park on Sunday. Amari Harley was at Bruce Park. He was going there for a birthday party, but disappeared around 3:30 that afternoon. Many questions certainly surrounding now the boy's death, namely, how did he get into the tank? A tank which right now, after what happened to him, has been bolted down. The question is, what was the condition of the lid? Was there a lid when this boy's body was found inside that underground septic tank? Joining me now to look at the legal ramifications is attorney John Phillips. John, thanks for being here. Do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
First of all, when you heard this, you see that image, what was your reaction?
Well, first of all, obviously, thoughts and prayers to this family, you know, with what they're going to. We've both are parents, and it's tragic. Second, the first thing that popped to my mind was my kids play, you know, Ninja Turtles and Mario Brothers, and of course kids have a fascination with these things. There's gold coins down there in their mind. And so I first asked why these things were there when the city could put either fence around it or put them on city septic, for crying out loud. But you know, there's lots of questions, more questions than answers at this point.
So here's what the city is saying. There are 76 parks that have the septic or lift stations, and I'm reading from the release that they sent to us yesterday, which is on our website. There are several types of lid coverings for these systems. They're metal, they're fiberglass, they can also be concrete. They're attached with bolt screws or latches. This one in particular had a bolt covering that is affixed to its tank. What we don't know here is based on what we see, which is, was there no lid there,
right,
even though the septic tank system was inspected on September 12th and was reported by the city as being okay? We still don't know. Does that mean that there was a lid, or was there not one?
We don't. And is it a situation where, like a child-proof, you know, medicine container, this 3-year-old could get in it, or not? Whether it was missing, cracked, you know, disturbed by somebody else who may also have liability, by the way. And so we don't know those questions. And you know, all these inspections don't say they inspected these lids. They say they inspected the septic line. So they were probably concerned about overflow more than security. And you know, and I know, we grew up in the Baby Jessica era where that was like the biggest national story for a while. And these things happen. You can Google kid in hole. And, you know, kids have a fascination with these things. You know, Bruce and I talked about the attractive nuisance of a swimming pool in the backyard.
Right.
And there's liability that goes on. And I just don't understand how the city of Jacksonville, you know, hasn't addressed this beforehand.
And again, we don't know that the city did anything wrong. The point that you're making is that this should, first of all, this should never have been there in the first place, is what you're suggesting, and put a fence around it, because who knows what could happen over time. I get that. When it comes to the city's liability, though, here, those would be things that would be brought up. But second, what if you had a park filled with kids, okay? What if this was another kid or teenagers who somehow got into this, no one reported it? Is there some liability there if a teenager or even an adult somehow messed with it and opened it?
I believe there is. I believe there's a duty. You know, when we have duties to fence a pool, we should have a duty to fence these drains. And it's not something that cities can't share information with other cities. And so whereas I get from the standpoint of, you know, you as a journalist, you're not ready to jump to conclusions, and I appreciate that. As an attorney, I'm getting there. This is what I do for a living. I bring these cases. And so there's an issue with liability for the city, and I'm not even talking lawsuits. I mean, that's what people are. Oh, John's of course talking about a lawsuit. I'm talking about the next kid. And if we don't have fencing, if we don't have, you know, deadbolt locks, if we don't do something more, or put the city property on city sewage so we don't have to pump this thing out, I mean, that's what they're talking about, inspections, is how often they have to pump them out.
And the inspections, which is what we're waiting to learn more about also from the city, and also the fact that there was a complaint in January suggesting there might be something wrong with the lid, and that, according to the city, was addressed. Questions that we hope to get the answers to certainly over the next coming days. John Phillips joining us here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your insight and your legal perspective on this.